I forgot to post it on my Instagram. Well, I did post it on my Instagram, but I forgot to like say we're live now, so I'm doing that. Put it on my stories. Ta-da! I have been productive today despite the rain, and did grocery shopping, and it's very funny how much people are freaking out because it is raining. But also I got like a little alert on my phone that someone's car went through a store window, like through the front of the grocery store, and I was like, wow, it was a different grocery store than I go to, luckily. But I was like, I hope everyone's okay. That's crazy. But all the comments were like, ugh, the rain is making everyone like insane. And I'm like, okay, let's blame the rain. Also, my lip looks bad. I had like a dry lip.
Californians are not accustomed to the rain, so it may in fact be making them crazy.
Southern California, yeah.
Fair enough.
I got get punched in the lip, but I didn't. It was just dry skin. And then I just haven't been being productive at all, but I'm good now.
I'm debating going into the Discord and just having, oh my god, what is our turtle's name? Carl, thank you. And having Carl the turtle just post videos and live streams from your channel too, or just live streams. But then like during book talk it'll double post because it'll post the one on mine and on yours.
Or just draw extra attention to it.
Yes. That bothers me though, so whenever it double posts I always go back and delete one.
Yeah, I don't have this posted anywhere.
That's okay. I posted it in our channel in our Discord and the Troublemakers. So we are at an unusual time for our WIP Wednesday. So
Rowan, when I texted that like a half an hour that WIP Wednesday was in a half an hour, they were like, already? And I'm like, it is usually 3 hours earlier. But
we're so sorry, people. We're so sorry. We will get back to doing it at regular. Yes. At 1 o'clock. That will be our normal.
Or 11 or 2. Fuck Mountain. No one gets to know Mountain time. What are you working on today?
Either revisions or further research, depends on how I feel, because I was so fucking tired. I was like, there's no way I can do revisions. But I braved going outside in the fucking winds that are so powerful. All the trees are dancing. You can hear the winds speak in the distance. And I am wide awake now. So,
like,
but I'm not gonna. Yeah, I might just set up for the first sprint because there is a bunch of miscommunication with book fairs, which, oh my god, very quickly, I went to I was going to take one of my middle schoolers to the elementary book fair because it's like, oh, apparently the middle school only has one book fair a year, and it's at the first part of the year, which I'm accustomed to them having like the elementary has like two or three book fairs a year, right? But I get to the elementary and they're like, oh, the book fair ended yesterday, and I'm like, oh, okay, my bad, I must have misread the thing. And then they're like, yeah, every school only has one a year. It's like, ours is always this. And I'm like, I 100% remember getting a notification for book fair the first half of the year. And like, as we leave, my middle schooler looks at me and he goes, they must have changed that. And I'm like, so your mother is not losing her
I'd be
mind.
like, am I insane? Or
and he's like, no, we used to have a lot of them. So I just had him go through and fill up a cart on the Scholastic website. So
All right, let's get started. First sprint. And we're back. How did you do that sprint?
Well, I decided to work on. Really, I'm mostly just copy pasting revisions from the free sensitivity reader to the Sam, this is the copy you want.
That you didn't use?
Well, the only difference that I'm finding is that the one that said, Sam, this is the copy you want, it just has like notes. Like it has certain areas highlighted where it's like, oh, you can add this here, you can do that. And as I see those, I'm like, oh yes, my intention was that I just made all the notes for revisions, and then I was going to do my research and then go back and do the revisions armed with my new knowledge. So I was like, all right, that's cool. But I still like the revisions that I already made. And so, I'm on page 7 of 10.
Okay.
So as soon as I'm done with that, I will go back to research, or depending on my emotions, reading something. Which, very quickly, I just want to say this. So for my plan of doing all my calculations, not reading anything before Sunday, I have already caught up on all 5 issues of the comic saga. I finished The Fault in Our Stars. I read The Tea Dragon Society. I read Girl from the Sea. And I'm on page 140 for Scum Villain.
You're farther than me in my reread. Yeah, actually no, we can't say anything about Scum Villain.
We cannot. I want to. I have so many thoughts.
I have so many thoughts too.
Focus on your WIP. It's WIP Wednesday. So you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, okay. So I am a prologue defender. I know some people fucking hate prologues, like with the whole fucking passion. Like they won't read prologues if they're in books. And I'm like, they're probably there for a reason, but okay.
Yeah, I will say very quickly, my stance on prologues is that they have to serve a purpose, because I've read a lot of books with amazing prologues that really added to things. And then I've also read some books where it's like, nah.
Yeah.
This prologue isn't necessary. So I am as with many things, I know, so shocking, context and execution.
So I had a prologue that takes place like 20-ish years before my main story takes place. And it's like background knowledge, or like not even background knowledge. It's an event that is very important that happens. And I have the characters slowly figuring out what happened over time. Or that was my intention. But now I'm looking at it and being like, they don't really actually uncover what happens, other than like an old copy of the outline. At one point, it's just told to them. That's like really far in the story. And I'm like, I don't love that. And so I last stream, not Monday, I think it was last WIP Wednesday, I on the whiteboard like wrote out when characters are having revelations and stuff, and realized that Ryan needs to figure this out much earlier. So I am now here inputting that in, and I had to like mess around my chapters and stuff because there needs to be a confrontation between 2 characters. And brought names back. I'm Sam now. And
it didn't do what I thought it would, so continue while I
there wasn't a beat in the story between him finding out information and him leaving the location where the other character is, where he can have that confrontation from his point of view, or even in general, because the other character's not there for that. because that's kind of like super not relevant. Like, he can't know the things happening in that conversation. And so I moved that around. I was like, okay, they have this big confrontation here. And I was like, where basically Rye figures out what happens in the prologue. Because he already kind of had pieces of it, but now he finds out the truth. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't need the prologue. It's just all being said here. So sadly,
do you feel the story and the revelation would be better served then with the reader not already having the information?
Yeah, I think having them find it out with Rye would be better than them just knowing it the whole time.
Yeah, then I would agree that it sounds like the poor prologue.
He's cut. Maybe I'll release it as an extra because it's a fun. It's where my lesbians get to like have interaction.
It could be like a scene at the end of the book.
Yeah,
I mean, like, not a scene, an excerpt at the end of the book,
like the Scum Villain extras.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have a few like for side couples that I'm like, oh, I want to write you, but we don't spend enough time with both of you in the same place. So that's
you could do that like on your website even, or as like a newsletter magnet.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a newsletter right now. And so, okay, so I went through and I typed all that up and made that decision and have been like ironing out some consistencies, but I think other than the ending, I'm almost on the outline. Other than the big, probably most important part, I think I'm done. I still don't know if it's going to be one book or two. I think it's just going to be one.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to talk to you about this. Because it's
figure it out.
Weird with not them completing a certain task. But I'm like, I don't think the narrative calls for that having to be accomplished, like for character arcs and the character goals and stuff. It's implied that happens. I don't think you see it.
So generally, what a lot of people will, it's funny, I was actually just talking to Fox about this the other day because he finished reading Zachary Ying.
Okay.
A lot of people will say that your book one has to stand on its own, and I don't agree with that entirely. I do think it would be nice for book one to have like there has to be some sort of payoff at the end of book one, but that payoff can take the form in so many ways. If you know you're going to write a series or a duology, I think really the promise of a payoff can be just as enticing as an actual payoff. Because like I've read a lot of series and stuff where book one, it accomplishes a task, but primarily its job is setting up for the series. And as long as that setup is like intriguing and like, you know, captures attention, people normally don't care.
I was saying that I'm not like questioning that part. I'm questioning whether or not there is more to the story. Like the book one, if it is a book one of two, I'm trying to decide whether the end of the book, end of Storm's Heir, I think it resolves everything good enough where it doesn't need a book two.
Oh, okay. I thought the issue was when you were adding in the second POV, you weren't sure if it was going to be too long or not.
No. With my underwriting ass, it's definitely not too long. No.
Well, then you'll probably be fine with just one book if that's the case.
Yeah, but no, the thing I'm struggling with is if the ending I have will be satisfying.
Because we'll make it satisfying, worry not.
You'll make it satisfying?
No, I said we.
I was like, damn,
Although,
Sam.
you know what? If you want to interpret it that way, I will make you make it satisfying.
Because
No,
to continue after what I have as the ending makes it into a different story, like a different tone.
Yeah, it would be a sequel, not a book 2.
Yeah, it would be.
Which I know that sounds
spoiler less. It would be like a war book. Like it would just be a war book.
Yeah.
Of like political and tactical maneuvering, and I'm like, that's a little different from what we were doing beforehand. Gay adventures, war book with gay people, but
genre shifting. We've seen series do that before. JoJo does that.
That's different.
Okay,
don't
but
like JoJo. I think JoJo is an exception, not the rule.
Okay, the Graceling series does that, which is it's a series of novels where. Okay, so this, to me, this is the difference between like a sequel and a volume 2. So like in the Inheritance cycle, which I know you've read, that is very easily a volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, right? Book 1, 2, 3, 4. But to me, a like sequel is like the story and plot have wrapped up in book 1. And now you're taking the characters and creating a new story and plot with them.
It would be like that.
And yeah, so that's why I said that. And for sequels and stuff, I do think you can hop genres a little bit. So
I probably wouldn't even make Rye and Jason the main characters of.
Yeah, it's exactly. I have another homework assignment for you for research. At least read the first 2 Graceling, and you'll see what I mean. Because in Graceling, it has to have another series name, and because Graceling is book 1, and then but that one follows 2 characters who like they go through their journey and everything. They figure out the political intrigue and the mysteries of what's going on, and then
damn, I even know who would be the main character of book 2.
See? Okay, and then the second book, Fire, is actually like, I don't know if there's a portal, but okay, so I don't want to spoil book 1.
Okay.
But in book 1, there are kind of like hints and stuff that there is another world.
Okay.
And in book 2, the main character is actually from that world. And it all gets like connected through the plot. And then I think at the end of it's either at the end of book 2 or sometime in book 3, the main character of book 2 actually meets the main characters of book 1. And then I believe book 3 is book 3 Bitter Blue. Yes, and then book 3 Bitter Blue is actually about. She was a child in book 1 in Graceling, but now she's like, she's either 16 or 17. But now she's an older teen in Bitter Blue. And then, I haven't read Sea Sparrow. I need to read book 5. Sorry. And then, Winterkeep. When I read Winterkeep, I was like, Fox, you have to read this series because there are magic talking foxes in book 4. I'm like, you gotta read that. So,
damn, yeah, so it's like a possible book 2.
Yeah, each book in the Graceling realm is what it's called. In the Graceling realm series is very distinctly about different characters, and like the feel and vibe of each book is different based on the main characters. So I would recommend that one as a series for if you want to have a connected sequel.
There has to be like a term for that because I feel like sequel isn't quite right.
I'm pretty Companion novel is the correct term.
Companion, not right. Yeah.
But I think it would technically be a companion series, but Graceling is just listed as a series, so.
Well, it's kind of like Dark Hunters.
Yes. Oh, yeah. See, Dark Hunters does it, except they're like always the same genre.
Yes, we're still here.
All
right, let's start our next
okay.
sprint.
I don't know why it tried to call you out. It doesn't do that normally.
It does it to me sometimes. Hello, and welcome back. I worked a little more. I'm at Act 3-ish. Of the outline and having it's hard to outline conversations more with me. Like this is definitely something that like develops when I'm actually writing it. So I think I might just be like, they discuss. Move on. For the outline. Are you meant to be muted, Sam? Okay.
I'm having a sad day. Okay. There's no reason for it. I just feel overwhelmingly sad and happy at the same time. So.
No. You need a nap. I need a nap.
I think it may be that I am just tired and or hungry.
That's so fair.
Because I get sangry. No. Yeah, sangry. Sad hungry. Instead of hangry.
Okay. Yeah, so I got through that, and I think I'm just gonna like I don't know how they react in this situation, but I think that's something that will build. Like I don't know how this conversation build as when I actually write it. So then I just have the like 3 major scenes left. You clutching your book to your chest,
cuddling it, not clutching, cuddling.
I
want to read Hookie. I have other things to read first.
I do 45 minutes of sprinting, and then you can not read Hookie because you have other things to read.
That's why I'm sad.
Oh,
no, I got
tired, and now I'm yawning. It's only like
I got my revisions done, and next sprint I'm actually going to go through and save the chain. Well, I'll make 2 copies of the document. One, I'm going to get rid of like my comments and my notes and then ship it off to Fox for his reading. And the other one, I'm going to save all of my changes, but leave the notes. So like one is for Fox to read the updates, but he's not allowed to have the notes yet. Those are for me only.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
then once again, depending on whether or not I get that done, because the other thing I did is my other middle schooler got home, and so I set him up on the desktop so he could shop at his leisure for Scholastic, which free shipping on $25 or more for books only. No, the if you want to order the skateboard pens or anything, that's $10 shipping and handling.
Wow.
It's okay though. Because he had a budget, and the $10 shipping was within his budget, and he was like, that's fine. Well, he had to like remove one item, but he was like, that's fine. I don't need another calculator.
How many calculators does he have?
Well, the thing is, the book fair has like food themed calculators, and he just sort of collects them. So he's got like a chocolate bar, and then I don't know what his second one is, but he was going to get a toaster strudel calculator.
Okay, I have seen the chocolate one before. Literally,
the toaster strudel was new to me.
I feel like halfway through every time we stream, I just get hit with like a wave of exhaustion. And I don't know why.
Because we're working hard.
It's also like cold and rainy here. I have a blanket in my lap.
I just put my Snuggie in my lap because my legs are cold. My top is warm, but my legs are cold.
My fingers are cold. But it's fine. It's fine. I would say to get some caffeine, but that's not going to help me at all.
It helps me focus, but it does not help me be awake.
I took my meds, so I should be good, but focusing wise. And I'm not having trouble focusing. I'm just the break. I wasn't even sleepy before the break, but the break started, and I was like, oh, yawning time.
Time to take a 15-minute nap. I am liking how I will say it was funny. I went to do this one revision, but I had already changed it, and I'm like, oh, look at me agreeing with past me.
Good job. I had like a list of things to do today, and then I slept. I haven't been sleeping well. I don't know why. Whatever.
I'm sorry. Neither have I. Stop copying me.
You're copying me.
I'm older, so you're copying me.
Like, I was born first.
I have had the privilege of using that against my sisters my entire life. Yeah, see, nap
during the break, but we have to entertain during the break. There's a whole 2 people watching. We can't disappoint.
Also, I'm going to speak more about my WIP instead of just random things. There are also some things that were like highlighted in yellow, and when it's highlighted in yellow, it's usually like rephrase this better or think on if you actually like this wording. But I had already rephrased it in my like revisions that I did without my notes, so I was like, I'm so badass. I am such a writer.
You're such a writer. You should,
I'm such a writer.
Add it into your title on YouTube. Oh, wait.
No, but my title is Writing Mom, not
Writer Mom.
Who write. Yeah, not Writer Mom. It's a verb, not a noun. Writing is a verb. Writer is a noun.
Yes, but as it's positioned within Writing Mom.
Oh, adjective?
I think so. For a second, I thought gerund, because that's a verb ending in ing. I don't know, guys. It's been a while since I took an actual English class with like grammar and stuff.
I once lamented to somebody that as a dyslexic, I will always be like slightly behind the starting line when it comes to grammar and everything, just because my brain naturally works backwards, so I'm like working against the curve. But it's okay, because I think that's part of what makes my writing style interesting. Also, like, I find out so many successful authors are dyslexic, and I'm like, haha, we'll be among good company. Like Sherilyn Kenyon is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Do you know what type of dyslexic?
We only have one label, dyslexic.
Yeah, but you told me there's different types of dyslexia.
No, well, no. What I said was there's different disorders. Dyscalculia is not a type of dyslexia. It is just like.
Well, didn't you say that not on stream, but dyslexia presents itself in different ways?
Yes, but that's like the same as autism. There's not different types of autism. There's just different. It's a spectrum.
Okay. ADHD is different types of ADHD, so that's what I'm familiar with.
I think there's technically 3 types of dyslexia, but it kind of boils down to were you dyslexic because of birth or trauma? So, I'm a born dyslexic.
You're so special.
Yeah. Go watch my dyslexia video. I remember the information better there. But no, I don't know in what ways Sherilyn Kenyon's dyslexia presents itself. Usually authors were just like, yeah, I'm dyslexic and I struggled in school and I felt really stupid. And I'm like, I relate. That is the most information we get. So.
Now I'm just thinking about the potential book too.
I'm not sorry. I have one more standalone to read, which is The Marvels for Year of Faves.
Hmm.
And then everything else is a series, which is fine with me. For book clubs, I will be reading Scum Villain for Saturday, and then Divergent and Not Your Ex's Hexes wait till later in the month.
Hmm.
Which the title is X's as an EX apostrophe S as in possessive, but I always write X's EXES as in plural.
Exes. I've been switching back and forth between calling Winifred Brunhilde's ex-wife or just her wife because they didn't divorce. But
yeah,
they haven't been together in 20 years.
They are separated.
Unwillingly separated.
Unwillingly separated. Also, I went to pick up these are the shipping boxes that my books.
Sorry. I just realized I'm doing this whole vampire thing inspired by the Odyssey, and I'm like, they've been apart for so long. When I have my lesbians over here, where Winifred doesn't know if Brunhilde is alive or dead, or if she's coming back or not for 20 years, and I just... Okay. Sorry.
I need everyone to know, because you mentioned the Odyssey, that I resent Epic the Musical's existence now.
Why?
Because I don't like this rebranding of Odysseus as a faithful and loving husband.
Hey, he only cheated on his wife. Like, it was a certain translator made him cheat on his wife, not the original story.
I'm gonna have to look into that, because every version of the Odyssey I have ever seen, he holed up and was with
Calypso.
Fuck, what was Calypso? And like they were together. So
no, I think there's two versions of the story, and I think the original one is he turns down both Circe and Calypso, and then there's the other version where he doesn't. You looking this up now?
I am, because I've read this book in middle school and high school. I misspelled Odysseus. No, I didn't. I was corrected by the thing, because I looked up, I'm like, Odysseus and Calypso, and everything's like Calypso and Odysseus, and I'm like, my mistake. But look, I just feel like there's a lot of Odysseus apologizing going on in the epic, and he was not a good individual, in my opinion. He was favored by Athena.
I think he's morally complicated, and that's what makes it interesting.
See, but I don't think he's morally complicated. Having read the Odyssey and the Iliad.
The Odyssey.
No, I read the Iliad and the Odyssey. The stories about him. Well, no, the Iliad's not about Odysseus, but you know.
He's there. I think it's a complicated answer.
Look, I just remember I read the Iliad and the Odyssey, and I didn't like Odysseus, and I didn't think he was all that and whatnot. He was like, my understanding of Odysseus is that he is a favored of Athena, and he got real full of himself, and then he kept trying to go home, and like all of the stories are meant to show how like awesome and witty and stuff he is, but at the same time he just, I'm trying to figure out how to explain it.
Yeah, I think he definitely has hubris, but is still witty and clever. And like I don't know. I think he's an
Yes,
interesting
I did not say these things were mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I was just saying that, like, a lot of the things when he's just an asshole. Really. He's an asshole. Yes, he's witty and he's clever and like he does all of these achievements, but literally is an asshole. Poseidon also an asshole, but
Yeah.
that's not the point.
All right, let's go into our next break.
The timer has started and ended.
Right.
And let me tell you, I prepared both documents, the one for Fox to read and the one for me to revise later. I got everything set up so that I can try to research during the wrap-up sprint, or I
digged around on my phone.
Excuse me. That's not working on your WIP. This is WIP Wednesday. That's okay though, because since you have no progress to share, I can monopolize this break for no, I was not wrong.
I looked it up too. Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me go first. Okay, so first of all, I read the Odyssey in middle school for fun because I was that sort of child. And then in high school, we read it and we talked about it and we watched movies and plays and oh my God, it's the Odyssey, right? I have now read multiple translations. Well, not multiple translations, but like multiple translations of specific inserts that different translators have done, direct translators, including the first woman to ever translate it, because I did not realize that wasn't until recent, but was not surprised. And yes, he fucking cheated on his wife. Now, here's the thing. I did also read a couple articles about like the power imbalance, and at first I was like, oh, you know what? That's kind of fair. But no, because then I reread the translations, and like this one translation, he was like, and you know what? I don't like how they downplay Odysseus's consent in some of the translations. And I was like, oh, tell me more. There is actually a piece that says that like he and Calypso enjoyed themselves in sex, and then like, and it mirrors a piece about him and Penelope enjoying themselves in sex later on, and I'm like, that's dirty. That's downright dirty. Although it kind of like also shows that he was more into his relationship with Penelope, because it says afterwards they didn't just lay there, they talked. But like there is also a thing with Calypso about how like he wanted to go home because he's not into the goddess that much anymore. And I'm like, that's part of what I remember of his assholeness. But his asshole goes to another level with Circe. See, I had forgotten about this part actually, because I was like, I didn't remember for sure if he actually had sex with Circe, but basically he like outsmarts Circe, and then Circe's like, that's kind of hot, which who can blame her? But then like he doesn't want to leave Circe. Like he's with Circe for years. He doesn't want to leave. It's his men who are like, bruh, I want to go home. And that's why he leaves Circe.
Okay.
And Circe she's like sad about it, but she's like, yeah, no, go ahead and leave. Now, what did you read?
Okay.
Because before the break, you told me it's only one person who translated it that way.
I said there's two different versions of the story, which I was wrong about. I saw stuff about what it was talking about like consent and that kind of stuff, but it seems semi in line with what you're saying, but also not the multiple years with Circe, just like 1 year. I saw 1 year with Circe and then 7 years with Calypso. But I want to say for Epic, Epic is based on the Odyssey, not a retelling, apparently. But I think that I don't care. Like in the fact that it's different from the original myth. Like I knew where there were points that... Let me finish my thought, Sam.
Yep.
Sorry. I knew it was different from the original myth just from the story being a musical and like the formatting of it all. And like the characters themselves are what would be acceptable in modern day society, not in ancient Greek society. And I don't think that it detracts from the story that Epic tells. But I don't really have the desire to read the Odyssey because I know it's not going to be the characters that I love in Epic. And I have not really any desire to go watch other retellings of the Odyssey for a pleasure point, for like a interesting research on different adaptations, which I enjoy. I probably will, but not for the, oh, I want this same story, because I know it won't be the same story. So I think that I was wrong.
Do you remember what
I was wrong, but my original statement, the reason I said it is because from your original statement, got the vibe that you were shitting on Epic. I realized you were probably not, and
I was about to say, do you remember what I said? Because really, you've just proven my point through this entire conversation. I resent Epic's existence because it has created a lot of Odysseus apologists, or people who try to make Odysseus from the Odyssey out to be different or better than he was. And as someone who read the Odyssey and who can't stand Odysseus, that bothers the fuck out of me. Because like you just said, right? You've never read the Odyssey. And when I brought this up, you were like, oh, well, Odysseus never actually cheated on his wife. And I'm sitting here like, what the fuck you mean? And like, I genuinely started trying to figure out if I misremembered or not. Because like,
I was saying that because I've read that before.
Yeah. And I'm saying, but that's my problem. Because I've started seeing things on my timelines and stuff where it's like trying to dissect Odysseus, but they're taking the characterization from Epic and trying to apply it to the original Odyssey. Now, do I judge Odysseus by modern things? Yes, I'm a modern gal. I don't like him because of these things. Do I judge the Odyssey for this? No, because that's like how the time is thing. But the thing with me is also like I wasn't entirely judging Odysseus for having sex with the goddesses, because like I was judging him for having full-on relationships with them, which he does. He has a relationship with both Circe and Calypso. And so like that's my issue. And because of Epic, now a lot of people are trying to find ways to like justify Odysseus's actions from the Odyssey, not from Epic the musical. And so whereas like that just, it annoys me so much.
I think that if someone does the proper research, which obviously I haven't done, and go, hey, this is my analysis of it, and this is why I think, I'd be curious to read that. But I'm not saying they're right, because there isn't one version of the Odyssey.
There is. Homer wrote the Odyssey. Homer's version of the Odyssey is the version of the Odyssey.
But Homer,
like it's not a myth. Like the Odyssey and the Iliad are not myths. They were, well, they were not, as far as I am aware, the Iliad and the Odyssey were not myths that were passed down vocally. They were novels. They were epic poems that
I think that because Homer isn't proven to be one person. I think they are verbal stories that were written down and condensed into one.
Who was Homer?
It's not proven. It's not like people are like, Shakespeare could have been a woman. Like, no. I'm talking about, I think Homer was a, like, it's unclear if Homer
was presumed... No, Homer was presumed to be an ancient Greek poet believed to have lived around the 9th or 8th century. He's credited with composing the Iliad and the Odyssey. Yeah, no, as far as we know, Homer, there are statues of the man. There are paintings of him. As far as we are aware, he is just as proved in existing as Shakespeare was as a singular playwright.
Yes. So I believe you in this. Having statues and painting of someone does not mean they're real. But yes.
I said he is as proven as Shakespeare was.
Yes. But saying having statues and painting means someone's real is just not true.
No, I am aware. And that is not what I said. What I said was Homer was presumed to be a singular person, and he's in like paintings and statues and whatnot because he's presumed to have been a real living, breathing person. And like, this is as, it doesn't prove it, but it's like, as far as historical evidence goes, that's as good as we're getting.
Yeah. Okay, I've heard different, but again, this is just in my life and I don't have the resources that I can pull up.
From my perspective, there are certain things that have been considered true and have been considered just this is how it is. There was a time when people tried to figure out if Homer was one guy or if he was a collected thing. But as far as scholars are currently aware, and as far as I'm aware from when I researched it and everything, the Odyssey and the Iliad were poems that Homer wrote down, some of them based on vocal legends such as the Trojan War, but I think that's more the Iliad. And then, but overall, Homer is accredited for many of the tales in the Odyssey and the Iliad, and that's one of the reasons he's considered one of the greatest authors of, and one of the most influential authors to come out of Greece.
See, I thought it was similar to the way the Brothers Grimm did it, where they just compiled the folk tales and made it into a story. Like,
no, but the thing is, like, Shakespeare is a really good comparison to Homer because, like, Shakespeare was at one point irrefutably was like, no, this was a singular man and he lived and existed and he wrote these plays. But then there was a point in history when it's like, oh, but maybe he wasn't real and it was like a bunch of people. And it's like, but no, William Shakespeare existed, but maybe he didn't write all the plays. So like, scholars have gone back and forth as to whether or not these authors and playwrights should be credited with all of the work that they're credited with, or if like other people also did it. But as I said, and like, this conversation kind of, in my opinion, just sort of proves and supports it, that with epic being the way that it is, and with information on the internet the way that it is, you said if people do their due diligence and their research, but they don't. And they're not
but
gonna.
I don't think epic,
they just
like project should get knocked for that.
I'm not knocking it. I just resent its existence. Same way I resent Tolkien.
That is, saying you resent its existence to me means you go, there is a problem with it existing.
I have a problem with it existing. Same way. Look, you've heard me go on my Tolkien rants, right? I resent how influential Tolkien is in the fantasy genre.
Okay.
I love the Lord of the Rings. But like, I still resent it, and I can resent it. It's my own personal feelings. It's my own opinion, and I resent the influence, and therefore, I guess I'll just say the influence that Epic has had.
I'm more okay with that. Like, the people's reaction to the art form rather than the art form itself.
But I still think I have a right to resent the art form.
Yes,
if I so
but I
choose.
just don't understand that based on your, like,
because it's like he could have written a musical with original characters inspired by the story, because it's not a retelling. So there's no reason for him to use the characters from the Odyssey. And most of the fans of Epic don't care about the Odyssey. And I think it still would have been just as popular. And I would not have to deal with Odysseus Apologist on my page.
Okay. I disagree, but I understand. Cool.
I'm trying to remember if in the see, because here's the other thing is like when I try to talk about the Odyssey sometimes with someone who has only experienced it through Epic, we start having very different conversations, and I'm like, because like I try to remember, I know in Epic he had trouble killing the baby, but I'm like, I don't think he did in the Odyssey. I think he just killed it, but I don't remember for sure.
There's like a song, but he kills the fucking baby and does not regret it.
Yeah, I know, but he has. Yeah, but the song is him like wrestling with his inner thing. I've heard some of the songs; they're good songs, but like, oh, I think one of the things that brought this up was because there was a bunch of stuff on my timeline that was like Odysseus's type is Penelope, and I'm like, that motherfucker, no. So, but
yeah. Okay, let's go into our last friend.
And we're back.
Oop.
So I had to go pull up my document and then realized I wasn't where I thought I was on it. I had to figure out where I was for the
Oh, I
research.
didn't even click the right sprint on
Do we
that
have
one.
one more
No,
sprint?
I just didn't click the right one.
Oh.
That was the end. Oh.
Well, I was going to do research, but no, it's fine. I would like to, I think I can sum up my feelings in a concise way that will make sense and doesn't sound, well, I'm hoping it doesn't sound super harsh. I tend to resent any time, and this isn't just epic, but I resent any time somebody decides to do a retelling, which I would argue epic is closer to a real telling than just inspired by, but
Yeah.
it is technically considered just inspired by. Anytime a retelling with characters who would usually, like, they had the morals of their time, but the retelling updates them so that their morals are more in line with modern times, and then that gets popular, and then it divides people. And so you have people who, like, will argue for the more modern retelling of a character when that's just not how the character in the source is. And it's, they're like updating what would be considered a problematic person in with modern conventions, so they're not problematic anymore. And I have an issue when all retellings do that, when I feel like if you want to do that, just tell an original story instead. And I looked into it a little more, and the epic does have original characters, and it has some things that were completely disconnected from the
What original
Odyssey.
character?
So I stand Winion.
Oh no, those the Lotus Eaters. Oh no, Winion's. That's not a character. That's either like a group of, just a group referring to, but that's not like a person's name.
Hold on, epic.
I think that's the fans of, or it's like Hermes. You know,
Princess Winion.
that's not a thing.
I've been lied to by this article.
You have been.
Either way, I think it could have been made into an original thing, and that the songs and the writing were so good that it still would have been fine. It still would have gotten popular, especially since, from my knowledge, it's not actually popular with people who are fans of the Odyssey.
I think it got popular because it's a connected to Greek myths, and people love Greek myths.
Yeah, so it could have easily been inspired by. There are so many stories that are inspired by Greek myths and the Odyssey, where they're like essentially just tropes themselves. Like the Eurydice storyline has been used in so many stories that have nothing to do with Greek or Greek mythology or anything. So I 100%, it could have continued to be inspired by, but like I said, it's more of a retelling and a modern, and the morals are more
I
modernized.
don't think modernizing a story and going, hey, this is a different version of this story with modern things is anything wrong with that. Yeah, people are going to be stupid and apply those same feelings towards the original source without actually looking at the original source, but I don't think that is a flaw of the retelling.
As I said, I feel like it would be better served to just be an original piece of work, because a lot of times when this happens, like I said, not epic specifically, but a lot of times when this happens, you have a lot of people who will start becoming fans of the original source and stuff, and they will hand wave a lot of the problematic and sometimes very harmful things, or you'll have fanatics do that and everything. And when it's art and when it's media, I don't think that is a small or inconsequential thing to consider. Also, when you go to look up things on the Odyssey, at least in my search engines, epic and epic resources come up first, and that's not because of my algorithm, because I don't look up stuff for epic more than I would look up stuff for the actual Odyssey or for Greek myths and stuff. And I had an issue with that when I watched Teen Wolf, because there were a couple things that when I tried to look up the actual monster they were referencing, the Teen Wolf articles would come up first, and it was completely different from the
None
other
of
things.
the stuff when I looked it up
I'm
came up
like,
with
just make your
epic,
own
other
thing.
than some Reddit threads on the epic Reddit.
I got the epic fan wiki and a bunch of other epic things.
Encyclopedia Britannica. But my computer's also used to me looking up the actual historical stuff from classes.
So should mine be. Mine should, because I look up myths and everything. My Google and my Brave search engines should both be used to that. So it could just be talking about it and the spies are spying.
I think we just have a difference of opinion on it.
Yeah. I was fine with having a difference of opinion, and I was like, this is how I feel about it. And
your original statement caught me off guard because it's so opposite of what I believe. So I thought that there was a misunderstanding or something, but I think we just have opposite opinions on this.
I will go on. I think this may be the first one we have exactly polar opposite opinions, because I make statements like that all the time. And I also sat here because of your reaction, and I was like, is it my heightened emotions? Is this a very unsound? And I'm like, no, I make things like that all the time, because I've gone through a lot of things in my life. Okay. Rowan had thoughts about the Odyssey. I think the creator has said that epic was never meant to be a one-for-one retelling of the Odyssey. Yeah, it's not supposed to be a one-for-one retelling, but it is closer to a retelling than it is an inspired by.
I don't think it would be the same story that we get if it was not the way it is. If you changed out the monsters or the cultural implications and references and stuff, I think it wouldn't be the same story. So being make an original story inspired by, I think then the creator wouldn't be telling the story he
hold on. So you and Rowan both agree that it is not the same story as in the Odyssey.
Well, it's the same log line, but it's a different actual.
Yeah. So why not just rename most of the characters?
Because people will go, that's just the fucking Odyssey.
Okay, here's the thing. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And people are okay with it. There's a Stephen King movie and book that I watched recently that I figured out is just Dracula. It's if you watch it, and because I read Dracula, and then the next week we watched the movie, and I looked up what the differences between the movie and the book for the Stephen King adaptation are, and I'm like, this is fucking Dracula. I could name which character would be which, right? And stuff like that happens all the time. And I think that is a better way to do a retelling than to just do a retelling that you slightly alter.
I think it depends on what I don't think there is a better
if you're
way
going
to
to
do it,
fund
but I
them-
think it's a disservice to what has been created to say, oh, would have been better if you changed this, like the foundations, the characters, the setting, that kind of stuff. Because like encounters, like they would play out differently.
I can agree with that, and I can 100% say that I am very biased, and I'm doing a disservice to Epic. But I am also tired of seeing the Odysseus apology. I don't think you understand how much I hated this man as a teenager.
No, I don't. And I guess I don't spend as much time. I spend time in the Epic fandom as in looking at fan art, and like interesting.
I'm not in the Epic fandom.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't go to the Epic fandom. I don't know why they're on my stuff.
You probably follow someone who is.
On my YouTube shorts.
Yeah. That's how the internet works.
My YouTube shorts don't show me what people I follow
or someone you follow,
I don't know,
creates epic stuff along with making whatever you like. Arcane.
Maybe, I don't know. I just know I'm not in the fandom, and I opened up my Instagram to make a post, and I saw a post that was just like, Odysseus' type is Penelope,
that's your issue,
and I'm like,
is
that
being on
cheating
Instagram
motherfucker.
and not Tumblr.
I am everywhere. See, I feel as if my feelings are being diminished, and
oh no, it's definitely annoying to have like. I don't like some stuff I see in fandoms, and I understand that, but I've already said my piece. So that's the end of our stream. We finished the timer. It was an interesting discussion.
Yeah, so,
but yeah, I think we just have opposite opinions on it.
And that's fine.
Cool. All right. This Saturday we're probably gonna get equally as heated. Discussing Scumville's self-saving system.
Everyone is going to hate me.
Oh no, I already have that feeling like, hey, was the translation that I've read just got rid of things? Because I do not remember this.
Let me tell you, I had a little bit of brain fog, and I was listening to the beginning of it, and I was like, am I understanding what is going on correctly? I'm pretty sure I did.
We'll talk about that. But I think the first chapter is poorly written.
Yes.
For what because there's a line in there that I think says the intention that the author's trying to get across, and whether it's the translation or the writing, it just missed the mark on what I think was intended for that scene. And made it something awful. So look forward to this Saturday. Scumville and Self-Saving System Volume 3 discussion on both Sam and I's channel at 11:04. I don't remember. We'll post it online when it is. Ta-da! Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay, bye!